today we are moving into and looking at proportions. Proportions are types of ratios that allow us to solve for a missing piece. So a proportion is a comparison of two ratios that allow us to solve for a missing part. So it's a statement that sets two ratios equal to each other. It's a statement that sets two ratios equal to each other. I can't even comfortably drink today. I'm going to move it where I don't see it. It's a statement that sets two ratios equal to each other. If A divides B equals C divides D, and A to B, oops, sorry, that should be a semicolon. If A is to B equals C to D. So it looks a lot like a ratio that we were talking about before. What's the big difference now? There is an equal sign. Properties of proportions. A over B equals C over D is equivalent to A times D and B times C. It's equivalent to the flipping of those fractions. B over A equals D over C. You can flip-flop the numerators, so it's A over C equals B over D. And you can cross-multiply and get common denominator type ideas. So those are all equivalent to the given. And we're going to be able to utilize that to help us. Those are all equivalent. Wish I had spray. Every time one of them coughs now. Alright, so the cross product property says if you have any real numbers A, B, C, and D, B cannot be 0 and D cannot be 0. So if you have any real numbers A, B, C, and D, B and D cannot be 0 in order for this to be true. All right, so let's apply the cross product property to determine whether each proportion statement is true. So we have 2/3, and we're saying that that is equal to 3/4. So you want to prove, is 2/3 equal to 3/4. So what you're going to do is cross multiply. So you're going to take 3 times 3. And you're going to multiply 2 times 4. So 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 4 is 8. So does 9 equal 8? So is that proportion statement true? No. Three-fifths is equal to 15 over 25. Is 3/5 equal to 15 over 25? What do you think, Dominique? Yep, we're going to cross multiply. Okay, so you got 5 times 15 and 3 times 25. So good, 5 times 15 is 75. 3 times 25 is 75. 75 equals 75. Therefore, that is a true proportion statement. 3/5 is equal to 15 over 25. That's kind of like saying these are equivalent ratios, right? So now, the next thing we're going to look at is what is the missing value? So what is the missing value? Hold on, dear. Sorry, I was having a technical glitch. So we have 14 over 32 equals x over 80. So what'd you do?
Cross multiply.
Yep.
80 and 14.
Perfect. So she said 14 times 80. And then that was equal to 32x. So then now we want to solve for x. So you have to multiply 14 times 80, which is 1,000. Perfect. Equal to 32. So what do I do next? Go ahead, Abby.
I divided
Perfect. What do you divide by?
1,120 to 32, and I got 35.
Perfect. So she divided both sides by her 32. And then when she did that, she got 35 equal to x. Okay, example 4. 15 over m is equal to 10 over 9. What can I do? Okay, Dominique.
You cross multiply
Perfect.
for 10m and 15 times 9, and you get 135. And
Very
then
good. So you got 10m. Yep, you should get 13.5. Okay, and then last but not least, we have x thirds equals 8/12. So once again, we're going to cross multiply. So 3 times 8 is?
24.
Good.
And then 12 times x?
12x.
Good. And then what's my step to solve for x? Good.
You divide 12 and 24.
Perfect. And 12 goes into 24 how many times?
2.
So we get x equals 2. You could check these if you wanted. So you could check it by saying, okay, 2/3 equals 8/12. And you could cross multiply to make sure you get 24 equals 24. So that's a quick, easy check, is to just plug back in what you get for x and cross multiply. You could also take your fraction 8/12 and reduce it by dividing by 4/4 and seeing that that also gives you 2/3, which is the fraction we got here. So you can do the technique we did from ratios as well as this technique here. So your homework is the front of that handout we just gave to you. Your homework is to do the front of that handout. So you are doing problems 1 through 9. So you're about 15 minutes. You should be able to get most of that done. We're working independently on that today.